Okay, so maybe you've had this problem. A lot of people have. We have a 2021 Navion D with the retractable screen door. And the challenge that we had were that these cords, these lift cords, break over time. And I think I understand why. There's a channel down here, and you'll notice that the string on the bottom kind of runs, as you open and close the door. At that bottom shoe of the right side of your door, it actually has a cable that kind of comes through, and I think the reason it breaks is because it's constantly being
Rubbing.
it's constantly rubbing. So anyway, what we did was we took the screen door off. We actually took it home just because it was easier to work on rather than trying to do it in a parking lot or a driveway. What we did was we put it up on our table so that it was more waist high, and then began to dismantle the screen a bit, which it's a little bit of a challenge. You do have to be careful with it. But if you're careful with it, you won't have any issues. So when you do put it up, though, it's important to make sure that you have the flange side up. So if you're sitting at the bottom of the door, the right side is going to be, I would call it the hinge side on any other door. The left side would be where it opens from. So what we're doing is we're sliding out then the screen out of this track. But in order to get it out, you have to dismantle at the spring on the left side all those different cords. And you'll see with the illustration that we have up right now. So we're dismantling all that, pulling the screen entirely out. And what's important, and I don't know if you can do this or not, I guess it depends on how your strings broke and where they broke. But it's important to try to keep the same length if you can for the string, because if you don't have enough string, well, then you're not going to be able to tie it back to those springs up on the left side of that door. So you'll see through the illustration. It's a little bit challenging, requires a lot of patience, and I don't have any patience. So if I can do it with my wife, then pretty much anybody I think can do it. We had a few choice words throughout the process because it is a little bit frustrating, but take your time with it. It is possible, and we'll put a link to in the description for the cord that you need, as well as the needle that you would need to get it through. So just a few tips though. As you're restringing these, the first one that I did, I kind of went through each hole in the screen, which is going to really try your patience and take a long time. So I found that you're able to compress the screen entirely and run that needle through all the holes at the same time. That was the best way to do that. So I would recommend doing it that way if you can. If not, you can kind of manage through and go through each hole. The size of the needle is really important. You don't actually have to tie off the needle, because you'll notice if you tie a knot around it, it's only going to create a problem getting through some of these holes or through the edge of the door there. So don't tie it off. That would be my recommendation. It's tight enough through that needle where it's not going to pull itself out. The other thing that you'll want to know is that while you're rerouting all of this this line coming through, it's really important. You've got shoes, as they call them, at the top of your screen and at the bottom of the screen, and everything kind of has to be routed through there in the proper way. Now, interestingly enough, at least the way that our screen was set up, we have the top 4 lines go down to the bottom shoe and the bottom spring. And the bottom 2 come up to the top shoe and the top spring. So it's just interesting how you'll see that it's tied off. When we did this and we tied it off, because our string had broken and we cut it while we were on the road, not realizing we were going to need to know the right length, we kind of had to add a little bit extra so that we wouldn't be too short. So you'll notice as I'm putting this back in and testing it, that I actually have way too much cord than I really need. So I am going to have to trim this. What I did was I tied this back to the spring that's over here semi-permanently so that I can test the door to make sure that the length is good. And then if it is good, I'll just make sure that that knot is really good and permanent. And then, of course, I can trim the cord back. So that's what I did there. So now what I'm going to do is I've got a few things you have to remove when you remove the screen. You've got 16 of these white screws that go around the flange. They attach directly to the wall, the door frame here. You also have to remove the grab bar as you're coming in. And this has 8 screws in total. You have 4 that go directly into the wall, and you also have another 4 that go directly through the base cabinet into a metal type thing where these will screw into. It's more like a machine screw. So first we'll put the door back on, get that screwed on, and we're gonna pray that it works. Alright, so now it's in. The screen is closed. Make sure this is in that channel. Works a lot better than it did.
There you go.
Works?
Works.
This is where it's tied off to the spring. So I'm going to take this and actually make this more permanent. Do the same at the top. This already has a pretty good knot there. I guess I could do one more. This has 4 strings attached to it. So the top 2 go to the bottom shoe. The bottom 4 go to the top. I might have said that backwards before, I don't know.
So the top 2 strings, which is the top loop, which equals 2 strings at the end, goes to the bottom. And then the bottom half has 2 loops, which comes out to being 4 strings at the end, and that gets tied at the top.
You might have to play that back a few times to understand what that means. We were reading the instructions that we got from somebody on the Facebook group, and we had to read them a few times because if you've never done this before, you don't really understand it. Like, you know, the left and the right, and which one's the left, which one's the right. That's why I tried to describe that as you're looking at it at the door with the flange side up. You're at the bottom of the door. The right side is, to your right is the right side, and the left side is your left side. At least according to the instructions. So I'm cutting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alternatively, I've seen a few people post the magnetic screen that goes on here. That actually looks like a pretty good option. The challenge we have specifically is that we have a dog who, not that this screen's going to hold him back, but if he sees something, he could go like right through it. And if we just had the magnetic one, it wouldn't hold him back at all. At least this kind of keeps him honest, so to speak. So, all right, let's see. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we can answer them to the best of our ability. Good luck if you try to do this.